Hello, welcome to Wellbeing. So this is the second video that is laying a firm foundation for us in our stress and belly fat reduction challenge. Visual and auditory today, and obviously when we have our support sessions we will have the kinesthetic learning as well, experiential learning, where you actually practice the practices and we take you through them, and that's going to be really powerful. So, mesmerising midriff. How do we get there? Well, the magic lies in mood management, and then the food management follows. You've got to get it in the right order. You know, whether it's you want 11 line abs, a six-pack, or just a more modest goal of having a flatter, tummy, a more toned torso, then, you know, we've got to look at lowering stress levels to then see that the sugar levels will come down. Let's talk about stress belly. The number one driver of high blood sugar is not your carbohydrate consumption, it's your cortisol level. Now, before you criminalise cortisol, it's just doing its job. How so? Well, we need to look at the autonomic nervous system, which controls over 90% of all the physiological processes that are going on in your body. That's huge, okay? And it keeps you in balance, optimal health, okay, optimal function, by monitoring and adjusting those processes, all the time. It's a constant thing, and it does it by various biochemicals, and there's lots of feedback loops and everything. So let's look at the two branches and what that actually means for us in the real day, moment to moment living. Your fight or flight mode is sympathetic nervous system activation, okay, the left side of these two branches that we're looking at. And when a demand comes along, a stressor, your body, brain, mobilizes you in order to meet the demand of that stressor. And it does that by creating fuel for you, energy, because you've got to either fly or fight or fly. And that fuel is released by cortisol, one of the stress hormones. There are other neurotransmitters and hormones involved as well, but let's just focus on cortisol. It releases your stored glycogen. Glucose is stored as glycogen. It releases the glucose into the bloodstream, and that allows you to either fight or fly. It's an emergency mode. It's not somewhere that you're designed to live. We're not designed to live in stressed states. We're designed to live in our more natural expansive state, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the state where we should be, the right side, of these two branches. That's where we're meant to be living. Now, because it's not because the sympathetic state, the stress state, is no longer just an emergency mode. Most of us are dealing with enduring stresses. That means cortisol stays high. That means blood sugar level stays high. Add into that a third S in our stress sugar synergy, sedentary, and we're actually not utilising that fuel that was made available to us for fight or flight. That's a problem, because both high cortisol and high sugar in the bloodstream are corrosive. So we've got to do something. The body's got to do something. It's got to get that sugar out the bloodstream, and it does it by returning some of it to our glycogen stores, and the rest of it, once your glycogen stores are full, is stored as fat. Hence we have our stress belly. Now, just a little note here. The stress hormones, when cortisol is high, it's in inverse relationship to your yummy hormones. Those wonderful things that make you feel good, like serotonin and dopamine, and includes also growth hormone and testosterone. So if you're trying to put muscle on and your cortisol level is high, you can't do it. You feel not so good, under cortisol. That's because your serotonin level is low. That's why you crave carbs, because what you're trying to do is raise your serotonin level. It's in a sense, it's natural to want to crave the carbs because they are going to spike your serotonin levels, spike your blood sugar level. Not a good way of doing it. Much better if it's done endogenously, because everything we need is within us. You don't want to put exogenous, all right, sugar in. Not really. What you really want to do is balance all the levels of the biochemicals so that you feel good and you don't need the sugar fix. Okay, so to paraphrase Candice Pert, the biochemicals that are running our body are the same biochemicals that are involved in emotion. So let's look at that for a moment here, this column. Thought, feeling, biochemical, physiological response, physiological symptom. That's the order it works. You have a fearful thought, you have a fearful feeling. That creates the release, all right, of the stress neurotransmitters and hormones, the biochemicals that then create physiological responses, all right, muscles primed for movement, or digestion, non-essential things shut down, all right, in order to divert all your energy, your resources, so you're mobilized for fight or flight, for survival. Okay, now if you live there in stress mode, in stress state, guess what? Those physiological responses become physiological symptoms. The idea then isn't to focus on the symptoms, because if you address the thought feeling aspect of the stress state, if you catch it there, then the symptoms, they'll subside. They just won't be there because you're catching it at the thought feeling stage. So that's the mood management. Mood matters. Look for the results of your mood, all right? When you are in negative emotion, you are in a stress state. Okay, you will shallow breathe, you will hold your body in a tense, contracted way. When you are in positive emotion, all those yummy hormones are high, you feel good, all right, you're breathing in your more natural expansive state, belly breathing, the body is in a more natural expansive state, feels good. So the two practices that we want you to start looking at doing: breathe consciously, and that just means, I don't mean just do it when you feel your system amping up, although it's brilliant to do it then because it will shift state for you, all right? It will actually soothe and soften that stress response. But do it throughout your day. Start breathing consciously. You're breathing anyway. Breathe consciously. Start to take control, because it will shift state. It will help you spend more time in parasympathetic state. It's where you want to be. It's where you're designed to be for optimal, remember, health, function, including optimal body weight. So do it, practice it, deep, slow, regular. That's what you're working towards in terms of your breathing. And the other thing is, when you notice your system amping up, postural adjustment. Open. Counter that contraction by opening through the chest and shoulders, okay? Lengthening through the spine, softening the jaw. Do these practices, all right, throughout the day, because actually what's going to happen is you're going to help retrain your nervous system. You can't retrain the system overnight. That's not how it works. It takes time to reset your nervous system. So we practice our way to feeling better. We practice our way to feeling good. And we want to do it on a regular basis, not just when everything's amped up. Just begin practicing the practices. Just a quick word about stressed and depressed. They're buddies. When you're stressed and when you're living there, in the end, your system, the autonomic nervous system, will shut you down. And that's why we experience depressed states. It's actually a protection mechanism. So again, if we can lower our stress levels, we can actually lift ourselves out of depressed states and return ourselves to experience more often, all right, parasympathetic state. That's what heart rate variability is all about. It's a measure of how easily you shift between the states. And you want a high heart rate variability, because that is saying that you are moving from your natural state, you're meeting a demand, you're moving into the stress state, and then you're coming back to the parasympathetic state with ease. I'll leave it there. Thank you for sharing this space with us, and we'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.